Kyle Johnson, Syracuse.
Rod Smith, Missouri Southern.
Javon Walker, Florida State.
Steven Alexander, Oklahoma.
Offensive line, Eric Piers, left tackle. Ben Hamilton is the left guard. Tom Nalen is the center. The right guard is Cooper Carlisle, and George Foster reclaims his starting position because of an injury to Adam Meadows, who had taken over for Foster a few weeks ago. It is 2nd down and 5. And again, this is Tatum Bell, who's had 2 bad toes, and thus he has missed a lot of times over the last month. A lot of time, and it'll be 3rd down and 1. Here's the Seattle D.
Bryce Fisher, U.S. Air Force Academy.
Chuck Darby, South Carolina State.
Rocky Bernard, Texas A&M.
Grant Wistrom, Nebraska. Leroy Hill, Clemson.
Love Tupu, USC.
Julian Peterson, Michigan State.
Kelly Herndon, Twinsburg, Ohio.
Ken Hamlin, Arkansas Razorbacks.
Jordan Davenot, Southern Arkansas.
Marcus Trufant, Washington State.
Mike Holmgren telling us last night Trufant's probably been their best defensive player of the season. It's a defense that's given up 20 or more points in 8 of their 11 games. That's a lot. 3rd and 1. Cutler throws, and his first pass is incomplete. Intended for Javon Walker, and Trufant, we just talked about him, is right there to help break it up.
You're right, and he's going to match up on Javon Walker. We see here he's on Javon Walker on this, and he's going to be all night. Like you just said, he's their best corner, maybe their best defensive player, and they feel that Javon Walker is the biggest threat in this Bronco offense.
So let it be duly noted, Cutler's era, what they hope will be the Cutler era, begins with 2 runs and an incomplete pass. Each team goes 3 and out. Ernster to punt. Fair catch called for and made at the 15-yard line by Nate Burleson. Back come the Seahawks on offense for the 2nd time with 12:22 to go in the opening quarter in Colorado. No score.
They should have won easily.
God, as Sean Alexander is taken down behind the line of scrimmage. John Engelberger is there. Let's take a look at that Denver D.
Kennard Lang, the U. Michael Myers, Alabama.
Gerard Warren, Florida.
Ebenezer Ekubon, Carolina.
DJ Williams, the U. Al Wilson, Tennessee.
Ian Gold, Michigan.
Champ Bailey, Georgia. John Lynch, Stanford.
Jerome Cox, Maryland.
Dan Williams, Oklahoma State.
Bailey and Lynch, 2 guys who could eventually wind up in the Hall of Fame. And that pass is dropped by Max Strong. So Strong coming out to the flat, turning around, and that's the 2nd pass he has dropped from Hasselbeck.
Yeah, we're talking about Matt Hasselbeck, and again having that crack in the finger on his left hand. And we look at again, this is him in preseason. Watch the left hand and how he takes a snap and then puts that left hand around the ball. Now watch how he's doing it tonight. You see that he's trying to keep those 2 fingers that he has where the crack is in the finger. He's trying to keep the ball off hitting that area.
And he's wearing a glove, which he said he wouldn't be wearing. It has nothing to do with the cold, but everything to do with the injury. 3rd down and 12 from the 13. They run a draw play here, and this is Max Strong, the fullback, who has done such brilliant blocking through the years for Sean Alexander. Well shy of a 1st down, so again a 3-and-out series for the Seahawks. They've run 6 plays. Hasselbeck is 1 out of 4 with 3 drops by his receivers.
And that seems to be something that has really haunted this Seattle Seahawks offense over the years. Remember 2 years ago, it seemed like they dropped balls all over the place, and a little of that has sneaked back into them this year.
Blackemeyer to punt. Fair catch called for. Williams on the run and collects it at the 43-yard line. Cutler comes back out with 11:04 to play in the 1st quarter in Denver.
Lined up and you're already kicking.
Well, you get the rest of the results at halftime in this game.
Right. Cutler rolling to his right. And Cutler will step out of bounds. And John, I know you hate that term, but it's become in vogue. Manage a game. And all week long we're hearing about, well, all they really want to do is have Cutler manage the game, but I think it's going to be more than that tonight.
No, you know, he was talking to Mike Shanahan the other day. He said that the reason he went to Cutler is it gives him a better chance to win the Super Bowl. And you don't go to a Super Bowl by putting a guy in there just to manage a game. And, you know, but, having said that, they do have to run the ball better. They do have to get open more. I mean, it wasn't all about Jake Plummer. Denver Bronco offense was not playing well.
Absolutely right, and their running game isn't the same as it's been in recent years. That's Tatum Bell for a gain of 1, even though they're averaging 4.5 yards per carry, which is good. It just hasn't been the typical Denver running game. And John, you look at all of the decisions coaches have to make. Tony Romo with Bill Parcells, but he'd been there for 3 years, even though he hadn't played. Phillip Rivers in San Diego, and then he gets the job because Breeze leaves. But this is a different situation, 7-4 with a pure rookie.
Yeah, and even Jay Cutler thought that he was going to sit this year, is the word he used. He said, I thought I would sit this year and compete next year. I think this took him a little by surprise.
3rd and 8, he slings one over the middle, and that is incomplete. He tried to get that one to the rookie tight end, Tony Scheffler. Cutler was their #1 pick, and Scheffler was their #2 pick. And Ken Hamlin defends on the play. So there hasn't been a first down in the game on either side.
Yeah, here's Scheffler right here, the big tight end that they thought that they could get down into the seam, and that's one of those things that looks good in practice, and then now you get a defense in there reacting to it, and this is a totally different game for Jay Cutler.
Ernster's kick is a beauty because it takes a backward hop, and that will pin Seattle inside the 10. It's down at the 9. So we have played 5.5 minutes, and we've had 4 punts. No score.
God, he looks like he's about 12 years old, doesn't he?
Hasselbeck takes the snap. They give it to Alexander. Sean, gain of 2. Now Alexander in his 2nd game back after missing 6 with a broken foot against Green Bay on Monday night at home in the snow, at least for the first half. 40 carries for 201 yards. By far the oldest player in NFL history to carry 40 times in a game. The next guy down on that list would have been Adrian Morrell, who was more than 2 years younger than Alexander, and he did it as a Jet.
I love that, though. I mean, carrying the ball 40 times, that weather, that night, you just watch that on TV and say, this has to be a running back's night.
He was the MVP last year in the NFL. Starts right, comes back left, and chased down from behind by Ebenezer Ekuban.
That's one thing about this Bronco defense is that those cutbacks and reversing fields and those types of things really don't work because of the speed. It's not only the speed. We always think of the speed of the linebackers, but the defensive line also has great speed. They take on the run strong on this side, force them to the backside, and Ebenezer Ekuban makes a big play.
Most field, the Broncos the fastest set of linebackers in the league, maybe the fastest overall defense. On 3rd down and 10, Hasselbeck slings it to the outside. That's caught, but it'll be shy of a first down. Darrell Jackson makes the catch. Darren Williams with the tackle. Hasselbeck and the offense come off, and it's a punt fest. This will be the 5th punt of the game and the 3rd by Seattle.
And it looks like they're punting bricks out there, too. If you just look at all the kicks, they have that special K ball, and then you get weather like tonight. I really think that this ball is probably close to frozen because the way the kicks have looked tonight, it looks like they've been kicking frozen footballs.
Line drive, frozen balls. Here's Plackemeyer's kick, and this is a wobbly kick and a short one. And Williams will call for a fair catch at the 50-yard line. And that's where Cutler comes back for his 3rd series. Feet. Claus, Indiana, I kid you not. From the 50. On 1st down, Bell breaking tackles. The game's first down, and a lot more to the 25-yard line. A 25-yard gain for Tatum Bell. He broke away from Julian Peterson near the line of scrimmage.
And that's what Jay Cutler needs. And I always said, the best friend of a quarterback is a good running game or a good running back. Here you see Tatum Bell press the hole. Don't cut back until you get to the hole. Get up into the hole and then come back and then take it. Watch him get it up in there tight. Here you see Tom Nalen make that block there. That gets him to the 2nd level, and then he can make his cut back.
From the 25, Tatum Bell, 3rd year out of Oklahoma State. To the right side again, inside the 20, and that's another first down. So after no first downs in the game, back-to-back first downs on successive plays, tackled by Hamlin.
Yeah, and that's what the Denver Broncos needed. They needed Tatum Bell back there that can take a run, and instead of just making 2 or 3 or 4 yards, can take it and run it 10 or 15. Here's that Bronco, zone blocking again. Tatum Bell having a little patience, get in there, let the blocking develop, and then run off your blocks.
Mike Shanahan calling the plays. 2 of the best coaches in the league, each with Super Bowl rings. Shanahan, in fact, has 2. The last 2 years of the Elway reign. Toss back to Bell. He juggles, recaptures it, and is taken down at the line of scrimmage. Trufant coming up from the corner. Take a look at the play selection, and of course the first 15 are normally scripted. 7 runs, 2 passes.
I was talking to Mike Shanahan about that the other day, and he said it's going to be a conservative game plan, but not conservative passing. I think that he wants, Jay Cutler to do more in the pocket and maybe more deep passing, not be conservative, not just, dinks and dunks and those kinds of things, but throw the ball down the field. But overall, a conservative game plan. That's what we're seeing.
Now Mike Bell comes into the game, the rookie from Arizona. And Mike Bell has seen a lot of action over the last month with Tatum Bell nursing those 2 sore toes, picks up 5. Tutupu and Herndon in on the tackle, and that's 3rd down and 5.
And this is all new stuff for Jay Cutler. I mean, we go back to, college at Vanderbilt and back to the preseason, but this is the, first time he's been here in regular season. What do I do in the red zone? And I've always thought the better you can run the ball in the red zone, the more effective you will be. When you get to this 3rd and 5 situation, you have to throw the ball here.
Mike Bell is the running back. You've got Smith in the slot. They empty the backfield. Bell sets up on a wing. Cutler is under pressure and almost escaped, but then he's finally taken down by Russell Davis, the defensive tackle, number 95, and that'll set up a Jason Elam field goal attempt.
Yeah, and this is why Jake Plummer's not playing. Remember Mike Shanahan saying that, a quarterback in this league makes his money on third down. You have to make the play. You have to make these plays. Here you get a 3-step drop. Now, on a 3-step drop, the one thing you cannot have is you can't have pressure right up the middle.
Elam with a 37-yard field goal attempt, and the kick is good. And just note that Jake Plummer did get into the game because he's the holder. He held, Elam boots it through, 3-0 Denver.
Your lungs are really going to be hurting around the 3rd period.
This kick is fielded by Nate Burleson at the 5, and the former Viking out past the 20, the 30. And Burleson with a good run back to the 40-yard line where Karom Cox takes him down. Now the Seahawks, you know about the injuries to Hasselbeck and to Alexander. Matt missed 4 games with that sprained knee. Alexander had a broken foot and missed a half dozen. Bobby Ingram has still not come back. He's missed 7. Jeremy Stevens missed 5. He has come back, the tight end. Robbie Tobeck is still out with a staph infection. Porkchop Womack, 5 games missed, and he needs to be spelled from time to time. Sean Locklear is in uniform tonight, the starting right tackle, but not ready to play. Mike Holmgren said, I hope I don't have to play him. So Tom Ashworth, number 68, former Colorado Buffalo, gets the start. Now Alexander probing the left side, cuts it back, and takes it out to the 47, tackled by Kennard Lang.
Sean Alexander was saying last night that he doesn't want to cut back too soon, that the coaches are on him all the time, to press the hole, stay in the hole, stay where your blocking is. And he said that, he knows that, but maybe he sees like 3 or 4 yards there, but he thinks maybe I have 20 or 30 yards someplace else. But he said tonight what he wants to do, stay with the hole early and then use his cuts later in the game.
There he goes again. He broke that foot on opening day. He had x-rays, and it was just, they really didn't see that much. And in fact, he played in the next 2 games against Arizona and the New York Giants, and then he finally had a sit-out beginning in October against Chicago. So he did miss 6 games. But, I said, so what did you do? Did you wear a walking boot? He said, yeah. I said, for how long? He said about 7 hours.
7 hours, yeah. He had crutches and a boot, and he said that it started to feel better, and the crutches came off and the boot came off.
3rd and 2. from the 48. Here he goes again. So 3 runs by Alexander, and that is a first down as he takes the ball to the 48-yard line.
You know, the broken foot that he had is his left foot, but, you know, it's an old veteran move. You don't show which. If you look, he has a pad on his left foot, but he also has a pad, the same pad, on his right foot. You see, both feet have that same pad, so he's not going to say, you know, like some linebacker say, you know, which foot is it? I mean, here's the pads right here. You see them on both feet. And he's not going to put a target on himself.
That's the first down for Seattle. Alexander comes out for a rest, and that brings Maurice Morris, who filled in for him over those 6 games, into the backfield. Short drop, pump fake, and then Hasselbeck will throw deep, and the receiver cut off his route. So Matt looking for Burleson to get down the field, but it didn't count anyway.
First down.
Whistle before the snap negates everything.
You know, one thing Seattle's doing is a lot of 3 and 4 wide receivers, and you know, that's not just for the passing game, but it's also for the running game. That if I go 4 wide receivers, if I spread you out and you spread your defense out with me, then I can run the ball. Now, if you want to stay in there tight to take away the run, to take away Sean Alexander, then I should have passing with my outside receivers.
That last play sort of typical of the Denver crowd. They're so loud that nobody heard the whistle, and everybody ran the play as if it was a real play, but it wasn't. Delay of game. 1st and 15. Alexander's back in. Hasselbeck throwing short, caught. That's Jeremy Stevens, the tight end, and he's tackled at the 47. The Denver defense, John, earlier this year they were on a record-setting pace, but now they sort of got exposed by Indianapolis and certainly by San Diego a couple of weeks, and they've come back more to the norm.
Yeah, you know, the Indianapolis Colts and Peyton Manning are going to expose everyone. I think the thing that really took a lot out of this Bronco defense was the second half of that San Diego game when they had a 24-7 lead. You have to be able to protect that.
And they couldn't. I mean, they were the main reason that they came into that game 7-2, and that is dropped. Darrell Jackson.
When the Seattle Seahawks, I think somewhere in this game and in these next few weeks, have to start to stretch the field. You know, everything is, you know, get back quick, 1, 2, 3, get back, throw it quick, and that means that all your routes are shorter routes. And of course, you can't have receivers dropping the ball like that.
Jackson last year dropped none. This year, 10. 3rd and 9. Hasselbeck to the outside. Caught by Jackson, but he's ridden down after a 2-yard gain by Dominique Foxworth, the second-year cornerback out of Maryland. And Seattle, after picking up that first down of the game for the Seahawks, will punt again, but they'll punt to start the second quarter because right now they're going to let the clock tick down to end the first quarter. And that's the way the period will end. The end of the first quarter with the score: the Denver Broncos 3, the Seattle Seahawks nothing. Sunday Night Football on NBC continues after these messages. 26 touchdown Sean Alexander with the record 28 set last year. Al Michaels, John Madden, Andrew Kramer. We start the second quarter in Denver with Ryan Plackemire to punt again for the Seattle Seahawks. Williams calls for the fair catch and lets it bounce, and Seattle will be able to pin Denver all the way back to the 1-yard line. Touched down by Josh Scobie with 12 seconds gone in the second quarter. 3-0 Denver. Some of the other stories around the NFL on a big day: Reggie Bush with 3 rushing touchdowns and 100 yards receiving, and we'll see him again next week at Dallas. 34-10. 4th return touchdown of the year by Devin Hester, who had that 108-yard return of a missed field goal in New York. 23-13 Chicago knocks off Minnesota. And how about Vince Young does it again? Another comeback win for Tennessee, this time over Indianapolis. So you've got Vince Young, you've got Matt Leinart, you've got Bruce Gradkowski down in Tampa, and Jay Cutler, all rookies, all starting.
sure Jay Cutler doesn't want to be in this position right now.
No. They'll start from the 2-yard line as the ball got spotted. And Tatum Bell might have lost the ball. We don't hear a whistle. Of course, Seattle thinks they have recovered. But the official's body language telling you right now, and that those 2 fingers held up by Scott Green confirming no fumble, second down.
So 27 Jordan Babineau come flying in there. He saw something that he was going to dive on that time.
Not necessarily no fumble, but certainly recovered if it was jarred loose by Denver. Second down and 9 in the first minute of the second quarter.
Would you pass on this play?
No, I wouldn't. Second and 9. I'm not sure I would do that either. Tatum Bell, that's a risky play. You throw it deep into the end zone like that. And it's third down. Again, let's go back to the theme of tonight's game is that move by Cutler. I think one of the interesting things is that Mike Shanahan said, I'm not just putting him in this week, and if he doesn't do well, it's Plummer again. He said, he's my guy.
No, this is it, and it's going to be that way. And I think, this was known a long time ago that, when they moved up, they took Jay Cutler, the 11th pick in the first round. Mike Shanahan knew that he was going to be the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos for a long time. It was only going to be, when is he going to start? And when came a little sooner than I thought it would.
3rd and 6 to the outside, and that's Cecil Sapp, who has to drop down just to secure it, so has no chance to advance it. They get it out to the 7-yard line, and that's all. Bryce Fisher put the heat on Cutler that time, and Denver is forced to kick, and Seattle will wind up with good field position for the first time. They've been starting all of their drives deep, and that's Ernster, and Ernster forgot his helmet as he ran out onto the. Here he comes.
He knew he had something on his head. It just wasn't plastic.
Well, fortunately, he has enough time on the play clock. I mean, kickers are squirrely, but that may have taken the cake.
Oh, that's the top of the squirrel list.
that's the full cake.
But really, to be honest with you, he could play without a helmet.
Yeah.
Watch what he's going to do. He won't do anything on this play.
He hopes not. Burleson at the 49, and out of bounds he will go at the 45-yard line. That was wild. Denver 3, Seattle nothing. Throwback guy.
Originated though. We'll have this discussion later.
This is Hasselbeck on first down, with Seattle's best starting field position, and that time he's able to get it in, and Jackson is able to hold on with good coverage that time by the Broncos at the 26-yard line. Darren Williams and Dominique Foxworth both there.
Yeah, Dominique Foxworth is playing safety, so what they're doing is they're really playing with 3 corners and 1 safety. See, there's Dominique Foxworth. He's the inside guy. Darren Williams is the outside guy. So because there's so much 3 wide receivers, the Broncos are playing with 3 corners and 1 safety.
Williams upset that he couldn't knock it down. Alexander has to come back to the right, and good improvisation. It looked like on the handoff, Hasselbeck got a little too close to Sean. There was nothing happening on the left side, so he spins around to the right side, picks up a couple, tackled by Champ Bailey.
We've talked about this anytime we do a Denver Bronco defensive game, and you see Champ Bailey that, he hates that word cover corner because that means you don't tackle. But Champ Bailey is as big in the running game as he is in the passing game.
The full package. Of course, that big 1-for-1 trade with Portis and Washington a couple of years ago, and this is Alexander to the right side, and that's Bailey that time coming in again.
I mean, that's the thing with Champ Bailey. Matt Hasselbeck was talking about him last night, and he says, he said, in the passing game, he said, I think I want to stay away from him because he's a guy that covers, can do all those things that corners do, but he's always thinking of scoring a touchdown on you. He doesn't play defense like a defensive player. He plays defense like a wide receiver. He said, so I'll probably go to the other side against Darren Williams. He said, but that's no easy deal either.
You're looking for Champ Bailey in February, just go to Honolulu. Maurice Morris has come into the game. They reset the backs. You've got Will Heller lining up in the backfield, and some confusion for Seattle before they can get the play off.
5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And Hasselbeck tried to call a timeout, but before he could get it, it's a delay of game.
You know, and that was a big play because, you know, for the crowd to not let them get that play off. And, you know, the crowds are getting to really help their defense more and more. I mean, what were they? Third and 5, and
right.
Now 3rd and 10. I mean, that's a big difference. I mean, you know, 3rd and 5, you can still run the ball, you can still play action pass, you can do those things. Here, you know, you have to drop back pass and throw the ball up the field a little more.
So that Denver has the altitude advantage, and for years, the crowd noise advantage. And this is Morris. Every home team, of course, has some crowd noise advantage, but through the years coming into Denver, and John, you and I have both done a ton of games in here. I mean, it's as loud as any stadium in the league.
Right, and you know they have that whole thing, you know, mile high. It's still in the name of the stadium. They put it outside your locker. They always remind you of that, and that is a factor.
And that's Walter Jones, and he is a factor. Ooh. Yeah, just ran into Warren. Just knocked him.
Looked like Warren.
A big hello. They got it. Keep sending your emails through to us.
He's down, but he got up and walked off under his own power. The great left tackle, could be the best in the game.
Right, he is the best in the game, and he ran into Gerard Warren on that, who was coming his way on a stunt.
40-yard field goal attempt by Josh Brown is no good. Brown's had a great year, 3 game-winning kicks, but misses here. And Denver is able to maintain its lead. 9:36 to the half. 3-0 Broncos.
Care? No, I don't. But it got it off your chest, so well done you.
Well, Rocky Mountain Sunset.
If you could write it up and say, you know, when do you want to get out? How do you want to get out? John Elway's way.
Meanwhile, Cutler fumbled the snap, and it's interesting. We were talking to him the other day, John, about not having taken any snaps with Tom Nalen until recently.
You know, I couldn't believe that. You know, I asked him, you know, how many times he'd taken snaps from Tom Nalen, and he said he'd never taken a snap from Tom Nalen. Now, I couldn't believe that. And he said because the biggest problem he had on Wednesday was the snap, because Tom Nalen gets down low. So he has to get down lower, and he has to get his hands up in further.
Rolling right, and our first look at Cutler running to the 37, and he's going to also be the recipient of a personal foul as Julian Peterson came in and got the face mask.
You know, and that's the other thing that Cutler could do. But, you know, like Jake Plummer was a runner and thrower.
Grabbing the face mask. 59 defense. 15 yards from the end of the run. First down.
Yeah, but Jake Cutler is more getting in the pocket, moving in the pocket, and running. There you see Julian Peterson. I can see the face mask there. Well, I guess that is the 15-yard variety.
Yep. And that moves the ball to the 49-yard line of the Seattle Seahawks. 8:50 to go in the half. Tatum Bell is the running back. Tatum Bell plugs ahead for a yard or two. He's tackled there by Grant Wistrom.
Yeah, Jay Cutler was saying the other day, he said that, you know, he goes in the huddle the first time. It's the first time he'd taken a snap from Tom Nalen. And he said he wasn't sure how to call the play, so he was calling it too quietly. And the guys were saying in the huddle, speak up, speak up. So then he said, okay, so he started to yell. He's yelling the play, and they say, calm down, calm down. He said, I finally think I know how to call the play in the huddle now. A guy has been there too long to just be figuring that out.
Trying to find the balance, second down and 8, ball at the 47-yard line. Fake to Bell, rolling right. And then the pass is behind the rookie tight end. That's Scheffler. Again, Cutler picked number 1 and Scheffler picked number 2. Scheffler caught 4 balls in 1 game this season, only 6 all season long, and now he's been inactive over the last few weeks.
Yeah, and he's not very accurate. I mean, I felt earlier that he's been short-arming things and throwing them into the ground, and you just see right here, he's just not letting it go. You know, that he's not playing with that relaxed body that you have to play with in this league. He's a little tight, and I think it's showing in his throwing.
Funny, in every sport, you're a little tight, you're a little short, you're a little bit off in terms of the accuracy.
Yeah, you don't step in, you don't put everything into it.
Third and 8, that time he steps into it, and the catch is made by Steven Alexander, the other tight end, and Alexander is able to stay in bounds long enough to get the first down.
Yeah, and that one, as you say, that one got him out of it. I mean, this is the way he looked in practice the other day. You know, drop back, take your 5-step back, turn, and just get that ball out of there. I mean, he gets it out of there quickly and with a lot of velocity on it. He did not short arm that one.
And then Darryl Taft came in at the end of the play to knock him down. 1st and 10, the ball is at the 38. Cutler is 2 of 5 for 10 yards. Bell. First down and a lot more inside the 20 and rolled out at the 8-yard line. Kyle Johnson and Ben Hamilton, the left guard and the fullback, provided the blocking up front. That's a gain of 30 and it's 1st and goal.
You know, and that's what Tatum Bell gives you is he's not only a very good runner, but he has good speed. And you can see right here, they pull Ben Hamilton. He leads on that play, but once Tatum Bell gets to that point, he is going to get another 15 or 20 yards because of his speed.
Bell has now gained 81 yards already on his first 10 carries. The ball is just inside the 8-yard line with 7 minutes to go in the half. 1st and goal. And Tatum Bell again, and this time he is stopped at the 7-yard line by Russell Davis. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
You know, we were talking to the Seahawks last night, and Mike Holmgren and John Marshall, the defensive coordinator, you know, they kept saying that's what we have to do. We have to stop the run. I mean, when we've gotten in trouble, it's been with our defense, and we haven't been able to stop the run. And you can see now, so far in this first half, they're having trouble with Tatum Bell.
98 rushing yards for Denver. Mike Bell is now in the game, the undrafted rookie from Arizona. He goes in motion, so the backfield is empty. Cutler to throw, surveying, has protection, juggled, caught, touchdown, Steven Alexander.
That's a matchup you want, Al. You get your tight end, the near middle linebacker, Lofa Tatupu. Looks like he let him go right there at the end, but the big thing is Jay Cutler got back, he was calm in the pocket, and he saw it. He sees Tatupu on him, he sees Alexander get his separation, and he gives the lead perfectly where Alexander can catch it, Tatupu can't get close to it.
Elam for the point after. And so in the circus that has surrounded the Denver quarterback change, it's appropriate that Cutler's first touchdown in the National Football League is a juggling act. Denver 10, Seattle nothing. We'll see. It is about 7:20 right now. 10-0 Denver. Nate Burleson to run it back from the goal line. And he's upended at the 24. Carl Pima with the tackle. And of course our sympathies go out to our colleague Jerome Bettis and the entire Bettis family on the very untimely passing earlier this week of his dad Johnny, who well, the great thing about it is that with Jerome ending his career, Johnny was able to live long enough to see his son win the Super Bowl last year and then retired. And funeral tomorrow, and our sympathies to the Bettis family.
You know, and I think that Johnny went to most of Jerome's games. I mean, Jerome's mother and father, you know, all the way through Notre Dame into the NFL, they were always there for him. And you say everything goes out to Jerome because this has to be tough.
Hasselbeck on the run, throwing, and the pass is incomplete. Intended for Jeremy Stevens, and you've got Al Wilson, the middle linebacker, covering on the play. 2nd down and 10.
You know where the Bronco defense have done a good job is not letting Hasselbeck get into any rhythm. I mean, don't you feel like even Mike Holmgren's play calling, they're kind of herky-jerky, and maybe they haven't had good field position, but you know, they haven't gotten Sean Alexander going. Matt Hasselbeck hasn't gotten into any rhythm, and part of that, Mike Holmgren has to help him out in the play calling. But the other part, I think this Bronco defense is getting after him pretty good.
Empty backfield on 2nd down and 10. And Hasselbeck looking over toward the bench. The play clock was winding down, and you have another delay.
Yeah, remember how the last one hurt him? It gave him a 3rd and 10, and then they didn't even throw the ball. They came back and ran it. Then they had to try the field goal, and they missed the field goal.
That's the 3rd delay of game call against Seattle in the first half. 2nd and 15. Hasselbeck, last year, great year. 98 passer rating. This year, big difference. He was not playing as well as he did last year, even before that injury. Then last week, bad first half, turned the ball over 4 times, but a real good second half on Monday against Green Bay. Rolling left, buying time. After the pump fake, that pass is incomplete. DJ Hackett looking for a flag and gets none, and we go to Andrea.
Well, as if the Seattle offense has not had enough injuries. I'm sitting here watching Max Strong on the sideline. He has a left ankle sprain. They're calling his return questionable. They took him to the locker room and heavily taped the ankle. Now, when I talked to Sean Alexander this week, he reminded me that he has not started a game without Max Strong being there. He calls him his battering ram, and that could be a huge loss. The Seahawks don't even have a backup fullback.
That is big. I mean, that is really big. 3rd and 15. And that's slung out to the right side, and that's caught by Will Heller. And so a short gain there. The good news for Seattle is that Walter Jones missed only that one play after he was shaken up early, the left tackle, and with 5.5 to go now in the half. Seattle doing nothing offensively. Seattle with a total of 67 yards of total offense, punting again.
Somewhere they have to start getting the ball up the field. I mean, the Broncos are just going back on defense, letting them have that short stuff, and the Seattle Seahawks are taking that short stuff for no yard gain.
The rookie Plackemeyer's 5th punt of the game is fair caught by Darren Williams at the 31-yard line with 5:11 remaining in the opening half in Denver, where the Broncos lead the Seahawks 10-0.
Well, we're back on pictures. Mikey, we'll come back to your email in a little while.
And here's Cutler under pressure and just throws it up for grabs, and that is intercepted and run in for a touchdown by Darryl Tapp. And when you're playing your first game in the NFL and you're under duress, and Bryce Fisher was the first guy to get in there, and then they spun him around, then he just threw it up, and it was tipped and intercepted, and a 25-yard return by Darryl Tapp, a rookie from Virginia Tech, first touchdown of his career.
You know, and the one thing you do when you play the Denver Broncos, this backside end is always going to take care of the bootleg. And whether it's Jake Plummer or Jake Cutler, you are not going to let them get outside you. Now, I mean, stating the obvious here, when you get in this situation, as any quarterback, rookie quarterback, medium quarterback, old quarterback, just go down.
Josh Brown for the point after.
Of all the things you couldn't do on that play, Jake Cutler did it.
And Seattle is within 3 because of it.
Play, but should try to keep the play alive. But once he's in that situation, it's time to go down.
Well, it's been given. Seattle back within 3 points.
A good year. Backing up Wistrom along the defensive front.
Right, he's a very good pass rusher, and he, as you say, backs up Wistrom, and tonight he's also going to back up Bryce Fisher on the other side. They're going to get Tapp more plays. They're going to have him play both sides.
Ryan Clark will down it in the end zone, and they'll start at the 20-yard line. Another look now.
See, if you watch Bryce Fisher here, he's not going to be blocked because everything goes away from him. See, everything starts this way, and you expect him to go for that run. Now, if he has good speed and good agility and checks it and doesn't let you get outside, then you have to do something obviously other than this. But Bryce Fisher has taught, you know, with your speed, you chase down that backside, but you always have control of the quarterback, not letting him get outside.
And then Chuck Darby came in and got his hands around Cutler's legs as he released it. Now to the outside goes Bell, and Tatum Bell will pick up a first down. They'll spot the ball across the 30-yard line. He's finally run down by Leroy Hill. And Steven Alexander, who scored the Denver touchdown, is down on all fours. So an injury timeout, so signaled by Scott Green here. Tatum Bell now with 91 yards. We go to Andrea.
All right, guys, now, as you know, draft picks, especially first-rounders, are put through a battery of tests and interviews. I talked to Titans head coach Jeff Fisher, and he told me that one of the questions that he asked Jay Cutler was, if you had a mulligan in life, what would you want to do over again? Well, Cutler said that he wouldn't use it now. He'd hold it for later. And Fisher told me that that showed a lot of self-confidence by Cutler. So what do you think, Al, especially since you're such an avid golfer? You think he might want that mulligan now that he threw that interception return for a touchdown?
Absolutely, without question. That was the mulligan right there. That was it.
But if you're going to save it, if you only have one in life, would you take it on that play?
Not in my first game as a starter. Then I would. But you know what? I mean, that was a play. I doubt he'll make that play again for a long time.
Well, there's something in your personality, though, that makes you make that play. I mean, you know, we don't know what his personality is or who he is, but Brett Favre made those kind of plays in his rookie year, and he's still making them today.
And this is Bell with a burst through the middle. And Tatum Bell is over 100 yards. So a guy bothered by two toes that have been injured, one on each foot. A 17-yard gain here because of those sore toes. He's missed 3 of the last 4 games, but appears to be at 100% tonight.
Yeah, when the Broncos get this zone blocking down, they do this better than anyone in football. And when the back, and if you have the kind of speed Tatum Bell has, then you can have the patience. You can wait for the block to develop, then use your burst and your speed.
Now Bell again, and he'll take the ball right to the 50-yard line.
And he takes himself out. You know, that's a thing in the NFL. I mean, you know, you go old school and you don't like it, but you know, coaches tell them to do that. They say, you know, if you get tired or something, just take yourself out. The school that I gave
down on all fours, so an injury timeout, so signaled by Scott Green here. Tatum Bell now with 91 yards. We go to Andrea.
All right, guys, now, as you know, draft picks, especially first-rounders, are put through a battery of tests and interviews. I talked to Titans head coach Jeff Fisher, and he told me that one of the questions that he asked Jay Cutler was, if you had a mulligan in life, what would you want to do over again? Well, Cutler said that he wouldn't use it now. He'd hold it for later. And Fisher told me that that showed a lot of self-confidence by Cutler. So what do you think, Al, especially since you're such an avid golfer? You think he might want that mulligan now that he threw that interception return for a touchdown?
Absolutely, without question. That was the mulligan right there. That was it.
But if you're going to save it, if you only have one in life, would you take it on that play?
Not in my first game as a starter. Then I would. But you know what? I mean, that was a play. I doubt he'll make that play again for a long time.
Well, there's something in your personality, though, that makes you make that play. I mean, you know, we don't know what his personality is or who he is, but Brett Favre made those kind of plays in his rookie year, and he's still making them today.
And this is Bell with a burst through the middle. And Tatum Bell is over 100 yards. So a guy bothered by two toes that have been injured, one on each foot. A 17-yard gain here because of those sore toes. He's missed 3 of the last 4 games, but appears to be at 100% tonight.
Yeah, when the Broncos get this zone blocking down, they do this better than anyone in football. And when the back, and if you have the kind of speed Tatum Bell has, then you can have the patience. You can wait for the block to develop, then use your burst and your speed.
Now Bell again, and he'll take the ball right to the 50-yard line.
And he takes himself out. You know, that's a thing in the NFL. I mean, you know, you go old school and you don't like it, but you know, coaches tell them to do that. They say, you know, if you get tired or something, just take yourself out. the school that I came from, the coach took the player out. The player never took himself out.
That school, the guys didn't have agents. They didn't have these kinds of contracts.
And maybe it's the right way to do it. I mean, maybe that's okay.
2nd and 8. Here's Mike Bell. You know, John, but then there's the other side of it where Mike Shanahan got a little upset with Tatum Bell a couple of weeks ago because Tatum, according to Mike, you should have told him he really wasn't ready to play, and he played. And then he wasn't ready to play, and that's when Mike had to sit him down for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, as a coach, you have to observe that because a player is taught to say, I'm okay. You know, I mean, if a coach asks a player at any level, high school, college, whatever, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. And if you ask a fighter in the corner, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. The guy can't see. I mean, you know, everything is ringing in his head, but he will always tell the coach he's okay. The coach, it's what he sees, not what he hears.
On 3rd and 4, that's a first down, and then Rod Smith drops it. It's his first catch of the night, and he puts it on the ground, and Seattle with another turnover here, and this is Julian Peterson who will run all the way down to the 35-yard line. So of all things, Rod Smith, the great receiver, 12th year out of Missouri Southern, covered and hit by Trufant, coughs the ball up, and Seattle's in business again.
You know, it was interesting. Jay Cutler was saying the other night that Rod Smith is going to be his safety net. Rod Smith is the outside receiver. He said, if I need a guy to go to, he's the old vet. He's the guy that I want to go to. He does, and look what happens. I mean, Rod Smith, he was getting ready for that hit, too. I mean, it wasn't one of those things that he was getting ready to make a big run. He was getting ready for the hit.
Trufant knocking it out with his helmet. And now Alexander having to play without the benefit of the blocking back. Max Strong is taken down at the line of scrimmage.
The thing that he still has over there is Walter Jones, that big left tackle we talked about before, as being the best offensive lineman in football. And you may not have your fullback, but I like that left side of the line.
Here's Hasselbeck. And he's under pressure, and they have to have, as Andrea mentioned, there's no backup to Max Strong, so they move the tight end Will Heller into that spot as we come to the 2-minute warning with 1:57 to play in the half. 3-point Denver lead.
Sean Alexander out.
Here is on 2nd and 10 Hasselbeck's pass intended for Jeremy Stevens, and that is incomplete. Dominique Foxworth covering on the play, 3rd down.
You know, I think Matt Hasselbeck still has a little rust on him, and his mechanics don't look good. I mean, his elbow's a little low, and he said that's one thing. Even his brother, Tim Hasselbeck, called him last week and said, hey, your elbow's too low. You know, get your elbow up. And he said he had a tendency last week to have it down, and tonight he looks like that elbow is going down on him again.
That was the 3rd down play. This is 4th down and a 53-yard attempt by Brown with flags down all over the field. The kick was wide. Brown missed earlier from 40. This was a 53-yard attempt. It is, or was, 4th down and 10. And that could be significant if the penalty is against the Broncos.
Yeah, it'll give him a do-over plus 5 yards closer. Mike Holmgren just hasn't gotten in any rhythm at all tonight. And Matt Hasselbeck, you know, I thought, you know, maybe coming off being rusty last week, looking better in the second half, that he would, you know, come and really step it up tonight, but, you know, but he hasn't. And part of that is the Bronco defense. And they're playing very well. They're playing them 3 corners and a safety, and then they play him the nickel, and they
the kick is no
mixing
good.
That up.
There's holding, 85 offense. That 10-yard penalty will be added to the spot of the kick. First down.
Wow, that's a big penalty and a big break for Denver, because not only will the ball come back to where it was spotted when he missed the kick, that's the 43, but 10 more, and that's going to put the ball into Seattle territory.
Here's what he called, that's the wing, and what you have to do is you have to step in and not let that guy get penetration inside you, but outside you just have to bump him with your outside arm. You can't reach out and grab him like Will Heller did. I have the feeling that Hasselbeck is pressing a little in this first half.
Very much so, and it kind of looks like that first half he played on Monday against Green Bay. Now, he had a great second half, but he threw 3 picks and fumbled in the first half against the Packers. And now tonight, he's 6 out of 14 for 39 yards. And you said it, John, with that elbow down low, and and it's funny, he's got the 2 injuries, and even though he's coming back from the knee injury, he said last week, it was bothering him in the first half.
Right. What bothers you is wearing a brace, because he has tape on it, then he has a brace on that right knee, and what he says is last week with that brace, he wasn't used to it, and he couldn't extend his right hip to get the revolution he needed.
Now with the ball at the Seattle 47-yard line.
Timeout, Seattle. This is their first charge timeout.
Well, Seattle takes a defensive timeout. Jay Cutler making his first NFL start, taking his first NFL snap. 1 touchdown pass and 1 interception that was run back for a touchdown. Hasselbeck hasn't gotten it going tonight. Sean Alexander, meanwhile, 9 carries for 15 yards because that Bronco defense has been so good, but Tatum Bell has rushed for 112 yards. I'm wondering if I'm just trying to figure out what Holmgren is. Holmgren called the timeout because he wanted Scott Green to come over. Mike used to be on the competition committee, and I think he may be thinking, if they decline the penalty because the kick was no good, why do you add on the 10 extra yards? But that's in the book. It is kind of unusual because the result of the play was a missed field goal, so you decline the penalty, but in this case, not only do you get the result of the play, but the penalty's tacked on.
Right, and just getting the ball back at the spot should be enough, shouldn't it?
It should be. That's insult to injury, and that is a short grab by Javon Walker.
And that's a guy you haven't heard a lot of lately. I mean, he's their big play guy, and if they're going to have big plays in the passing game, it's going to be Javon Walker making it.
Screen to Bell, gets a block, picks up a first down, and he takes the ball to the 34-yard line. Denver has all of its timeouts.
Jay Cutler wants to use one right now.
So with 1:17, it'll be first down at the Seattle 34-yard line. So next week, we get to see Tony Romo. We get to see the Cowboys. We get to see Drew Brees. We get to see Deuce McAllister and Reggie Bush as the Saints, one of the big stories in the league this year. Tremendous season. Sean Payton at the helm, go into Big D to face the Cowboys. Bush today, 4 touchdowns, 3 on the ground. Huge day as they beat San Francisco. And in a thriller, Romo throwing a pass to Jason Witten, moving them into field goal position at the end, where Gramatica, who replaced Vanderjagt this week, kicks the field goal. We talked about it on the pregame show. Bill Parcells goes from a guy who looks like he can't wait to go back to Saratoga to a guy who may now coach longer than George Halas.
Right, and he made those moves, though. It's a lot easier in life to stand pat than to make a move, and it takes a lot of guts to make a move. And he made it with Tony Romo, and that just changed everything around in my mind. And then, of course, today, like I said, Martin Gramatica kicks that winning field goal for him.
From the 34, that is Tatum Bell, stopped by Peterson. Cutler will go without a huddle here.
I was just going to say that was a very good tackle by Julian Peterson, because that cutback looked like it was going to go a long way.
2nd down and 10. Cutler going for the end zone. Good coverage that time by Kelly Jennings, their #1 draft choice, the rookie out of Miami, on Javon Walker.
Yep, and that's where you want to go. I mean, that's a perfect matchup. Your big play guy is Javon Walker. You have him on a rookie. You figure, I'll take the odds on that. I mean, that doesn't mean anything's automatic. As we showed, Jennings comes closer to catching that ball than Javon Walker. Javon Walker was expecting it on the inside, and the ball was on the outside where the coverage was.
And I think Jennings hurt his right shoulder on that. It'll be interesting to see if Denver goes right back that way. He was a little slow in getting back to his spot at left corner. It's 3rd down and 10. Cutler instead will go the other way and underneath, and that is caught, and fighting for the first down but not getting it is Nate Jackson, the tight end. So now you're going to have a 4th down here at the 25-yard line. The clock ticking down, and Shanahan, you know,
I don't think he's made his decision yet.
Well, I think now he's going to take a timeout
because he
here.
has a timeout.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting call. You've got a first-time starter at quarterback. You've got a field goal kicker. This is not automatic for anybody. 43 yards, but it's Jason Elam, so he does figure to make it. The odds would be in his favor. You have a 3-point game.
Yeah, I would think he's going to kick a field goal, and if he doesn't, I think he made a mistake on not taking the timeout sooner, because if you really think you're going to go for it on 4th down, then you want more time. I think letting that time go they did before they called timeout darn near says we're going to kick a field goal here, because if you go for it, you get it, then you're up against the time. Yeah, he's going to kick the field goal. And I thought when he let the clock go down, I thought this was what he was going to do.
By the way, when Holmgren called that timeout to go over to Scott Green, the rule that is in effect now, where you get the result of the play and the penalty tacked on, was just put in this year. So Mike, who knew the rule book inside out, came off the competition committee and wanted to check it again with Green. That is the ruling as of this year. Now
this is the toughest thing in this league to figure out the ruling.
Meanwhile, you've got Elam taking the snap and picking up the first down at the 22-yard line. But now the clock is running. You still have to take a timeout. I mean, that's all well and good, but you know what this is going to amount to? It's going to amount to taking a timeout and kicking a field goal
again. It's going to amount to nothing. Yeah.
I mean, they better take a timeout.
Right. If he's going to go for it on 4th down, he wasted too much time before he took the timeout.
Yeah.
If he let that time go, then you have to kick the field goal.
Yep.
So that didn't make sense either way.
And I'm wondering what, with the way Shanahan's looking at Elam, it's like, well, wait a second, what was this all about? Plummer is the holder. He puts it down. He tosses it back to Elam.
Yeah, I wonder if that was one of those automatic things. Sometimes coaches do that. Okay, if we see this defense, if their field goal block is lined up like this, we want to use this play. But you don't want to use it in this situation.
No, in the meantime, it looked like his hamstring got a little stretched out here.
Yeah, I don't think I would want Elam running option plays for me.
First carry ever, now a 41-yard attempt for Elam. And it's good, but I'll tell you, he's limping away. He's limping away. He hurt himself on that play. And that could be a huge loss for the Denver Broncos. Another look here.
Here's a play, and well, that's a field goal there. I mean, I don't think he hurt it there, Al. I think he hurt it on the play before.
No question. Absolutely. You could see it happen. Halftime, the score is 13-7 Denver. Bob and the gang coming up on the Toyota Halftime Show on the other side of the break.
Now puts them in the lead.
Well, it's a 6-point lead they have. Can they hold on to it or extend it? Let's see.
To 7, and the Broncos will get the ball. That is Brian Clark back to receive. Josh Brown to send it a yard into the end zone. Small juggle by Clark. And then out he comes past the 20 and taken down at the 34-yard line by Kelly Jennings. And a lot to report from halftime. Andrea, what do you know?
Well, the fake field goal attempt at the end of the first half was a called play, as Mike Shanahan told me, but it could have been costly. We have no official injury report from the Broncos, but Jason Elam limped out of the locker room and he was holding his left hamstring. Now, as for the Seahawks, I talked to Mike Holmgren. At first, he said that Max Strong is out, but now we're hearing that he's going to try to go back in the game. Holmgren said they have to try to run the ball a little, and they will change up their blocking schemes.
They've been unable to run the ball in the first half, but Denver's run the ball very well. Leroy Hill popping Tatum Bell there, but Tatum Bell has gained 113 yards on 16 rushes. And the rushing differential will be huge, and it's shocking only in the sense that you've got Sean Alexander on the other side, but Seattle's been held to 28 yards rushing, 15 by Sean.
You know, and Sean Alexander has another half. You know, you talk to any running back, and they'll always tell you, I just kind of get started in the first and second quarter, and I pay it off in the third and fourth.
But a lot's going to depend on whether we see Max Strong or not. That's a 3-yard gain here for Tatum Bell up to the 38-yard line, and that will set up a 3rd down and 6 for Jay Cutler and company.
What Mike Holmgren had to be talking about, when you don't have your fullback, then you do obviously less lead blocking and you do more zone blocking. I mean, you would run more, you know, the type of thing that the Denver Broncos are running.
There are the numbers for Cutler. The 1 touchdown pass to Alexander, who's hurt, and his return is questionable, but now he is back in the game. They told us he might not return, but he is back. And then that one very costly interception. That's Alexander in the slot to the right. 4-receiver set.
Mike Shanahan says this is what you pay quarterbacks for.
Under pressure, Cutler throws, and it's caught by Walker. So he earns a little dividend right there. Kelly Jennings with the tackle, 3rd and 6, and under pressure from that defense is able to get it off for a gain of 12.
You're right, and Jay Cutler just passed a big test right there. Being able, you know, can he handle pressure? You know, can you pressure him and he can still get it off? When you can still get it off and complete it like that with that kind of pressure, that's an NFL quarterback.
Bryce Fisher was right in his face. It was Fisher who precipitated the big mistake made by Cutler, that interception that was returned for a touchdown in the first half.
You know, they always say don't throw off your back foot, don't throw going backward. If you're an NFL quarterback today with these pressures, you have to be able to throw it all ways.
Yep. 3-yard gain here for Tatum Bell. So, John, what's your summation of Cutler now in the first half?
I think it's all new. It's a learning process, or some things like that. I thought was an excellent throw. You know, I mean, he made, you know, that was a good read, finding, you know, the open guy. This year, obviously, you know, he wants back, and, you know, you never do that. But I thought, you know, I mean, he's had his ups and downs just like everyone, you know, thought he would. And, you know, it's going to be how he is, you know, next week and the week after that, and the week after that, and next year. And he's going to have a long career here.
Fake toss, rolling right, and then he finally has to throw it away. Cutler comes out of a school that's not exactly a quarterback factory. There's only one other quarterback from Vanderbilt who played in the NFL, but he was a real good one. It was a half-century ago. Billy Wade, who was the #1 overall pick in the 1952 draft, played with the Rams and with the Bears, and quarterbacked the Bears to the 1963 NFL championship.
Talking about keeping your elbow up, look where Billy Wade's elbow is. Yeah, but I don't know that Jay Cutler, coming out of high school, could have gone to a football factory. In fact, the only one that wanted him to play quarterback was Vanderbilt, and they gave him a half a day to decide.
On 3rd and 7, that is caught by Tony Scheffler, the rookie tight end. So a big 3rd down conversion again, and he's 2 for 2 on 3rd down here on this drive.
You know, in big tests, he passed a couple of big tests here. One was getting the ball out under pressure, and this one here, just making the read, getting the ball out of there quickly and throwing it to Scheffler the way he did. I mean, he put it, he had a window there, and as he learns and he knows the windows are a little smaller in the NFL than they are in college, but he threw it in that small NFL window.
The window frames were provided by Hamlin and Trufant. He got it right in there. Mike Bell is in the game at running back. Fake to Bell, he stays in the block. And then the pass is thrown into traffic and broken up by Trufant. You have a flag down in the backfield. You might have a hold here. Mike Bell was trying to keep Darryl Tapp out of the play.
Holding. Offense. Number 20. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Actually, Peterson's the guy who was trying to hold there, not Tapp. But Mike Bell was guilty of holding here in the penalty.
And you'll see Julian Peterson is coming from a blitz on the outside, and Mike Bell just grabs him right around the neck. Peterson lets the referee know, hey, did you see that? That's one of the things that, you know, is always tough about playing a rookie running back. You know, it's not, I'm talking about Mike Bell, it's not the running part of it, but it's a pass protection part of it.
So Shanahan said to the official, what was that call? Then it's dropped by Bell. And Bell can't recover it, as it looks like, was it Jay Cutler who gets in there?
Yeah, he's the guy who jumped in there. He saw it. He's at the bottom of the pile. Tell you, if it is Jay Cutler and he did get it back, his players are going to love him. He comes up empty-handed. No, it wasn't Jay Cutler.
It was the Seattle Seahawks recovering, so Cutler trying to get in there. That was Mike Bell's first fumble of the season, and the ball is recovered by Rocky Bernard.
Two bad plays back-to-back. The pass protection and then the fumble by Mike Bell.
They'll get that ball back.
At least that's caught on first down by Nate Burleson. And let's take a look at the fumble by Mike Bell on his 119th touch of the season, his first fumble.
You know, anytime you have a rookie quarterback, you can blame the quarterback for about everything, but I don't think that was a bad handoff by Jay Cutler unless he left his hand on it too long, but that's getting very, very picky.
Max Strong is in the game. They have split backs here. They sling it out to Alexander, but he gets run out of bounds shy of the first down. DJ Williams covering. Seattle, the offense in the first half, 67 yards, 5 3-and-outs, leading to 5 punts.
Right, and they didn't get in any rhythm at all. We talked about that in the first half, and you know, part of it I think is Mike Holmgren, the play calling. Part of it is the Bronco defense, and part of it is Matt Hasselbeck. He does not look comfortable at all.
At least they get Strong back in the game. He's the fullback. And then there's plenty of action up on the right side of the offensive line with Ebenezer Ekubon coming across.
False start, number 86, offense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
And he was induced to do so by Jeremy Stevens.
You know, Jeremy Stevens is one of the guys that they get on pretty tough in Seattle for drop passes and stuff, but you know, in this game, they're going to need Jeremy Stevens someplace, because I feel in their passing game they have to stretch the field, and he's the one guy that can stretch it. You see Dominic Foxworth in there. They've been playing him a lot as a safety, so in essence they're playing 3 corners and 1 safety, and that's a pretty good way to play against 3 and 4 wide receivers.
They give it to Alexander on 3rd and 6, and he only gets 3 to the 47-yard line. So again, Seattle, after the turnover, presented with very good field position, but unable to capitalize at all. And in comes Plackemire for his 6th punt of the game.
And again, I think, you know, when you have that short, quick passing game, you live with it, but you die with it. I mean, you know, you kind of have to, someplace, I think, get that defense off, because I just feel that the Bronco defense, you know, and pass defense is just squatting on everything.
Plackemire drops the nose of the ball down, put a little backspin on it, and then it's fair caught at the 11-yard line by Darren Williams. 8:40 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Denver Broncos with the ball and a 6-point lead. This is why.
Thank you, Super Mike.
Wind blowing up from New Mexico or something like that. 8-yard gain here for Tatum Bell as he takes it out to the 19-yard line.
You know, for years I came in here with the Oakland Raiders, and they always had that sign there, and it's right outside the visitors' locker room. So as you come into the locker room, you see that sign. Then as you walk out to go out in the field, you look there. So they remind you of the elevation. I mean, who cares? I mean, you're getting ready to play a football game, and then they remind you here at Mile High. So they give you this, and they give you Mile High. Now you tell your players, don't think about it. There's nothing this altitude. We don't have to worry about it. But they continually remind you.
You got to put blinkers on them when they come in.
And bring oxygen. You know, I mean, we studied this over the years. You know, how do you do it? How do you play in Denver, Mile High, the altitude and all that stuff? And we come up with the answer is you just get in here as late as you can the night before, and obviously you leave right after the game. The answer is you don't spend a lot of time here.
And you don't think about it. You're right. It's like jet lag. You know, you can obsess over jet lag, but you can see Denver, the great home record since 2001. And interesting to note, Seattle with a tremendous advantage at home, and it's been that way for most of the history of the Bronco franchise outside of the first few years when they were simply awful. This is Cecil Sapp on a 3rd and short, and they give it to the fullback, and he gets the first down all the way out to the 40-yard line on a pickup of 20.
You know, we're seeing that more and more where they hand the short yardage play to the fullback, and I think that's smart because he's closer to the line of scrimmage. You know, that tailback now is getting so deep. You see the tailback here. Now you look at the fullback up there, and he's closer to the line of scrimmage, so he can get the ball, and boom, right now he's at the line of scrimmage. You know, you get that tailback, and he's 7 or 8 yards deep, and he has to run 9 yards to gain 1 yard in short yardage.
Denver now with 170 rushing yards against Seattle. Cutler lets it go, and that pass is incomplete. And it was Javon Walker running into somebody on the sideline.
Well, Javon Walker should have run into someone on the sideline because he was too close to it and really didn't give Jay Cutler much of a chance to throw anything there. It was interesting. The Seahawks started with Marcus Trufant playing on Javon Walker, and now in that last play and plays before that, Kelly Herndon was over there.
Trufant, we mentioned earlier, Mike Holmgren telling us yesterday, probably been their best defensive player of the season. 2nd down and 10. Rolling right. Cutler throwing, and it's incomplete and knocked away by Leroy Hill, who was drafted last year in the 3rd round. He had Hill and Lofa-Tatupu, 2 rookies last year, both starting in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Seahawks came on a blitz on that one, and I'm surprised that Mike Shanahan keeps going to the bootleg, because usually if they take away the bootleg the way the Seattle Seahawks have, usually the inside running's there, so he'll stay with that. If they take away the inside running, that's usually when he goes to his bootleg game, and he's been having Jay Cutler bootleg, and it really hasn't been there once all night.
3rd and 10. Mike Bell is back in the game. Seahawks show blitz. Cutler stumbles, and he has no chance to get rid of it. He just has to eat it as Hill comes in for the sack.
I thought the Seahawks were going to do more of that early, because that's what they said. You know, when you get a rookie quarterback, we want to give him an early pressure, you know, and see how he does. Here's a pressure right here. They get a free rusher coming up the middle, a guy coming from the outside. When he feels that time he was smart. I mean, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing left. Just take the loss.
Here's Ernster, the punter, who may turn out to be the field goal kicker as well. Check on Jason Elam, who was hurt at the end of the first half. Ernster's punt hauled into the 26-yard line by Burleson, and he can barely get out of his own tracks. Taken down after a run back of 1. We have 8 ticks under 6 minutes left in the 3rd quarter here in Denver. The Broncos up 13-7.
Well, we're just waiting for sound to come through. Seattle with a little bit of work to do.
Does that mean the guys in the huddle can't hear what he's saying?
I have no idea.
There he is with his quarterback coach, Jim Zorn. And he's explaining that thing I was talking about earlier, that with the right knee and the brace, he can't get that hip rotation in. And, you know, because he can't bend that knee, and you see him grabbing the hip there, and then that makes him lower the elbow. So part of it, he's not in any rhythm, but the other part is his mechanics aren't good.
And there is Alexander, and he finally breaks one for a big gain, and that's the 60th consecutive game in which Alexander has had a run of 10 or more yards, and that's significant because it ties an NFL record held by Barry Sanders, who ended his career with a 60-game streak. So Alexander can break that next week against Arizona. First down from the 45-yard line. Sean again runs into his own man and then turns back the other way. And Alexander turns a 3-yard loss into a 7-yard gain, tackled by Foxworth.
You know, you could just feel this coming, though, couldn't you? You know that you don't hold Sean Alexander, the league's MVP last year, you don't hold him down a whole game. So it's just a matter of time. And again, the Broncos have had trouble. The Broncos have had trouble with their defense in the second half, and I'm sure that's what the Seahawks talked about at halftime. Okay, let's stay with our game plan. Let's stay with our running. Because talked about at halftime. Okay, let's stay with our game plan. Let's stay with our running because we will wear them down in the fourth quarter.
Alexander out. Morris comes in. Maurice Morris, 5th year out of Oregon, who played in those 6 games that Alexander missed with a broken foot. And they give it to Mo Morris. Getting outside, but not around the corner. Taken down by D.J. Williams, the outside linebacker, the #1 draft choice in 04 from the U, Miami.
You know, when you get a running back going, though, like Sean Alexander, I always like to keep him in there and keep feeding him. You know, keep working him. And I don't know, maybe it's a foot or maybe, you know, it's conditioning or whatever. But again, this is a part of today's football that I really don't understand that well. You just kind of, I mean, it's 3rd down now, and there's probably going to be a passing situation. But when you finally get something going, you know, keep feeding him, keep it rolling.
Yeah. Not good at either. 3rd down and 3. Hasselbeck throwing, and he's able to convert as that is hauled in by Darrell Jackson. D-Jack, as he calls himself, makes the catch at the 40-yard line. 1st down.
You know what that was all about? It was all about pass protection. You have to give this one to the offensive line. Watch the time that Matt Hasselbeck has here. I mean, he looks to his left, looks to the middle, looks to the right, and finally comes back and gets rid of it. But look at that time. I mean, you give any quarterback that much time, and he's going to complete passes.
Tackled by John Lynch. 1st down at the 40-yard line. Alexander is back in the game. The fake to him. Hasselbeck going deep down the sideline. The coverage is great, and it's Champ Bailey with the interception. And that's always playing with fire. When you launch one in the direction of number 24, there's a good chance that's going to happen.
You know, and Hasselbeck talked about it last night. He said, I don't want to throw at that guy. He does, and look at it.
His 6th pick of the year. Evening. 1st down after the pick by Bailey. Tatum Bell is the running back. They start this drive from the 20. Denver is up by 6. They give it to Bell. He'll pick up 3 and go back to the pick by Bailey.
You know, if you watch Champ Bailey out here, he's looking right in at the quarterback. Now, it's a vision thing where he is going to read the drop of the quarterback. He reads 3-step drop, 5-step drop. Now, in that one, he sees play action pass. And he knows when he reads that is when the Seattle Seahawks go vertical. So he just starts running. He's watching Hasselbeck all the way, sees the ball leave his hands, and makes a play on it. Look at this.
Yeah, look where he's made those interceptions. I mean, he gets down there, and that is batted away. I mean, with all of those interceptions inside the 3-yard line, if he were a goalie in the NHL, he'd win the Vezina Trophy every year. You just couldn't get it past him. He sees that goal line, and that's his, not yours.
Yeah, but wouldn't you think that the opponents would figure that out and say, okay, I mean, let's get our other receivers, let's go to the left, let's put the guy in the slot, let's just move him where we want him and then not throw there. Right. I mean, especially when you go into the end zone, because that's where he gets all his interceptions. And Matt Hasselbeck knew that. I mean, sure. we talked about it last night, so it wasn't something, oh, geez, this is a surprise.
Yeah. To your point, I mean, they finally started rolling, then all of a sudden you go for the whole enchilada on one play, and the next thing you know, you turn the ball over. And on 3rd down and 7, the pass intended for Walker is incomplete. Jennings covering. Hamlin came over to help. In comes the punting group.
Yeah, and I think that's a part of the game plan that Mike Shanahan was talking about, that, you know, it's going to be a conservative game plan, but the passing game isn't going to be conservative. And I think these shots that Jay Cutler is taking to Javon Walker are the parts that he's talking about.
Burleson back to receive the kick. Ernster to punt. Ernster's 5th of the game. This is a good one. Deep and angled. Fielded at the 23. Burleson with a 12-yard run back up to the 35 after a 55-yard boot. There's a flag down on the play. Scott Green.
During the return, illegal block in the back, 69, receiving team, 10-yard penalty, 1st down. Timeout.
Joe Tafoya. 13-7 Denver.
Butler makes mistakes. I would think and there goes Sean Alexander again. I'd think Plummer's thinking, gee, I wouldn't do that if I were him.
And this time Alexander for 12 and a 1st down to the 38-yard line. Now do they stay with a drive and feature Alexander, which you would have thought they would have done on the last drive. It ended with the interception. Shown again, and this time Denver is equal to the task. The right side of that defensive line, Michael Myers leading the way, number 96.
You know, again, what the Broncos are doing on defense, I think is pretty good. They're playing them with 3 corners when they put Dominic Foxworth in for Jerome Cox, and then they have 3 corners and 1 safety, that safety being John Lynch. So in essence, they're down there playing them 3 corners if they want to play 3 receivers, and then they have John Lynch as an extra linebacker, so that's almost like 4 linebackers.
2nd and 13, the pass a little behind Deion Branch, and it's the first time we've talked about him tonight as he makes the catch up at the 45. The former Patriot, the Super Bowl MVP winner a couple of seasons ago, came over, had a contract squabble with New England, dealt to Seattle at the beginning of the season. First catch of the game. Second. So Branch to the 45-yard line, 3rd down and 3. Maurice Morris comes back into the game. Alexander out. Hasselbeck. And that's incomplete, and Jackson started to stumble. He'd gotten by Foxworth to the outside, but started to trip, and it's 4th down. So, John, what do we say? I mean, you start with an Alexander run, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, and then, you know, it has to be a successful run, or you have to come back with it on 2nd down, and that's a problem. You know, we always say you have to run, but you have to run successfully. And when you run and you get stopped at the line of scrimmage, then that puts you in a different mode. And Mike Holmgren is really a passing coach. I mean, you know, to be honest, I mean, like he and Andy Reid, they'd like to pass every down.
Oh, yeah. That punt drops at the 4 and then spins sideways.
Oh, amazing.
How perfect was that? Derek Rackley will down it there. So the rookie 6th, 7th round pick out of Wake Forest with a 54-yard punt and just enough spin on it to set Cutler up inside the 2.
That's a shot you'd like to have in your golf bag. Be able to put it, spin it, and bring it back just a little.
Perfect.
And the thing is, I mean, these punters are so good now. You know, I mean, maybe there was a time when you do that and it was lucky. I mean, these guys are trying to do that. You know, I mean, just to drop it and have it spin and then spin backward and end up in the 1-yard line.
Well, you might have had the best of all time in Ray Guy. 1st and 10, the ball is at the 1-yard line. They need some breathing space, and this is going to be tough, and it's all Bell can do to get over the goal line and get out of the end zone.
You know, last time they were in this situation, I said, would you pass on 2nd down? And what I meant, I think if you're going to run the ball 3 times, then you run on 2nd down. If one of these plays are going to be a pass coming out here, I think you're better passing on 2nd down and then coming back running on 3rd down than running on 2nd down, then have to pass on 3rd down.
They'll have the next 2 minutes to think about it because that's the end of the quarter. We played 3. 13-7 Denver. Sunday Night Football resumes after these messages.
Turnover, and now that's one way to win. They got like 38 guys on the field.
That is cheating.
What is this? Is this like calisthenics?
Talk us through that offensive line.
Up is where the dancers are. And they finally got the dancers off, and then the Broncos could go back and huddle up and call this play.
2nd down and 10 now as we start the 4th quarter, and they need breathing room, and it's given to them by Cecil Sapp, the fullback, taking it out to the 5-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and 6.
You know, again, that's a pretty good call of just giving it to the fullback because he's the closest guy to the line of scrimmage, and we're seeing more and more of that in football. And I think it's not only short yardage and goal line, but it's also coming out. I mean, this is like a goal line play. I mean, you go 2 tight ends and you use goal line plays, obviously, when you're on the goal line going in, but you also use those plays when you're on the goal line coming out.
3rd and 6. Cutler under pressure, and he gets wrapped up and taken down. Bryce Fisher is in there again. Julian Peterson blitzed from the outside, and Cutler just had to cover up and make sure he didn't lose the ball.
Right, and that's what John Marshall was talking about, you know, that that in passing situations, we want to give him pressure. We want to give him the blitz. And that's what they did. You see 59 Peterson comes right in his face. I mean, he goes to look, and this is stuff you don't see in practice. This is stuff you don't see in minicamps. This is stuff you don't see running the scout team.
This will be a short snap and a fast kick by Ernster, who sets up in the back of the end zone. So the line of scrimmage is the 2. He's about 4 or 5 yards shy of where he'd normally line up, so he has to get rid of it in a hurry, and he does. And the kick is taken in by Burleson at the 42, and then he's taken down from behind by Jerome Cox at the 36. But the Seahawks have excellent field position with 13.5 to play in regulation. Now the Seahawks are in pretty good shape. If this game is more important to one team or the other, I would suggest it's Denver, only because of what division they're in. 49ers and St. Louis each lost today. So even with a Seattle loss, they would still be 2 games up. They're the division leaders. Meanwhile, for the Denver Broncos, as you look at the rest of the NFC at the moment, they are in a division where the San Diego Chargers have a 2.5 game advantage, and Denver's not looking at a division crown to get into the playoffs. They're looking at the wild card.
I'll tell you, this is a big, big drive for the Seattle Seahawks.
Alexander to the outside and finally gets run out of bounds after a gain of close to 6 by Darren Williams. Spotted at the 31, call it a 5-yard pickup. It'll be 2nd down and 5.
You know, and this is also big for the Broncos in that, you know, they don't finish. I mean, you know, you go back to that San Diego game, they had that 24-7 lead. They felt that they kind of faltered in the 3rd and 4th quarters on defense. In fact, they even did extra conditioning this week, the Bronco defense did.
And they had the lead against Indianapolis and couldn't finish that day either. Here's Alexander. So it's an oddity for Denver to lose 2 games in a row at home. But that's been the case with Indy and San Diego, their last 2 home games.
And you just look at Matt Hasselbeck there, and you just have the feeling that, I mean, he's a very, very confident guy, so you can't say he doesn't have any confidence. I think he has a lot of talent. He probably has more confidence than he has talent, but he doesn't seem to have a heck of a lot of confidence tonight.
3rd down and 4. Morris is the running back. Hasselbeck under pressure. Sacked at the 36-yard line by Elvis Dumerville, the 5'11" rookie from Louisville.
Yeah, we talked about staying away from Champ Bailey. Watch Matt Hasselbeck here. Al, he's looking left. He's not looking right where Champ Bailey is. He's trying to get the ball out there. They had a very good coverage, and then, as you said, Dumerville gets to him. Here's the coverage. It's a zone coverage, and they clamped, and they got everything tight over there on that left side. And Matt Hasselbeck had no place to throw it.
Well, I was going to say it took him out of field goal range, but Josh Brown comes in, and they're going to pooch punt it. So they snap it to Brown, who'll pooch kick it, and is muffed and loose at the 20-yard line as Darren Williams gave up the football on the direct snap pooch punt. Because every time you have a scrum like this, you got one team saying, we've got it, we've got it, we've got it. Now Denver's saying we have it, and Denver has it.
Yeah, Kennard Lang, 76, was the first to say we got it.
And it's Al Wilson. Nope. Because every time you have a scrum like this, you got one team saying we've got it, we've got it, we've got it. Now Denver's saying we have it, and Denver has it.
Yeah, Kennard Lang, 76, was the first to say we got it.
And it's Al Wilson. Nope, it is Wilson who gets shaken up on the play. Williams winds up with the ball, but Wilson was shaken up on the play. Number 56, their middle linebacker. He's still down on the turf.
Hole again.
Right into his own guy, Gerard Warren. See 61 come in there, Al Wilson. They were both going for the ball. Al Wilson was down. They were, checking his neck and his back, and then he started to get up, and then he stayed in that position.
His backup, Nate Webster, is inactive tonight. So they work on Wilson. We started to talk about the AFC before, how important this game is to Denver in particular. Indy loses today, so San Diego and Indianapolis each have marks of 10-2, and they'd have the 1 and 2 seeds and buys right now. Baltimore, New England, the other division leaders at the moment. Denver 7-4, pending the outcome tonight. Cincy is 7-5. They'd be in there, and then you've got the Jets, Jacksonville, and Kansas City, all with those 7-5 records. But at the moment, Cincy would own the tiebreaker. Next week, Denver goes to San Diego.
How about the backs that they've played? This Denver defense. They had LaDainian Tomlinson. Then the next week they have Larry Johnson.
Right.
Then this week they have Sean Alexander.
Right.
Then next week they go back and they have LaDainian Tomlinson again.
Yeah.
John Lynch called that murderer's row.
Good way to put it. In the meantime, right now, the Denver Broncos just thinking about what's happening to their middle linebacker who took that shot from Warren, and they'll bring the card out for Al Wilson.
Still no play.
Ian Gold is linebacking made, and the rest of the Broncos look on with a great deal of concern.
And because Al Wilson is the heart and soul of this defense and kind of the whole team, and you looked like he was, as you said, looked like he was getting up and then went back down again. And again, in the NFL today, they're going to take every precaution with any injury like this.
Yep. And you just hope, and we see it so often. Somebody be down for a long time, get carted off, and occasionally it's not serious. You hear the good news tomorrow, and then you have, crazy stuff like Donovan McNabb barely gets hit, falls down, and the next thing you know, he's done for the season. You just never know. Andrea, what can you tell us?
Well, Al Wilson tried to sit up twice and then went back down. Meanwhile, as you can see, he's been surrounded by all the players. The players were imploring the crowd to chant his name just so he could even hear it. But really, just tremendous concern on the sidelines for the defensive leader.
Yeah, John mentioning really the heart and soul of this defensive unit. #1 pick in '99 out of Tennessee, been to 4 Pro Bowls. Seems to lead the team in tackles every year. He's all over the place.
And again, they take every precaution. You just hate to see that green thing come out there. We all love hard-nosed football and all that, but no one wants this and type of thing where he ran into his own guy.
Yeah. So they immobilize him on the gurney. And I'm sure Andrea will be able to get a report for us within the next few minutes after they get him back to the Bronco locker room. And we'll just hope for the best. And crowd chanting Wilson, Wilson. And he starts that slow journey back to the locker room on that foreboding cart. And as is always the case, the game goes on. Broncos have it at the 21-yard line after the pooch punt. 1st and 10. Tatum, Bell, the running back, and Bell for a gain of 2 up to the 23-yard line. Ball was loose, but not until the play was over. 2nd down and 8. So Shanahan missing his middle linebacker. Now Bell is hurt. Remember, he's had the 2 bad toes. And he has missed 3 of the last 4 games and has rushed for 133 yards tonight. And he'll have to come out. And of course, once the officials blow the whistle for an injury, you have to come out for at least 1 play, and he will.
And I'll say this about this Bronco offense: they're a lot better with Tatum Bell. I mean, when they don't have Tatum Bell, they go from a pretty good offense to darn near a bad offense. And then when they have him again, just because he has that speed that he can break it. There he is. He's up straight there, and then it looks like he just landed on the ball, doesn't it?
Yep. And the way he's coming off the field, that appears to be the case. For the moment, Mike Bell will come in as the tailback. They wind the clock. It'll be 2nd down and 8 up at the 23-yard line. Denver up by 6. A little over 11 minutes to play. Mike Bell up to the 26-yard line. He goes, and they've taken that cart and the gurney, and Al Wilson will go right to the hospital to get checked out.
Yeah, that's one thing. You know, they have the equipment right there, and then they get him off the field and into the ambulance and right to the hospital. And NFL has really improved in that area.
Yep. 3rd down and 5 from the 26-yard line. And Mike Bell is tackled at the 25-yard line. The crowd doesn't appreciate the play call. Seattle's going to get it back. And will it be left up to Denver's defense to win another game?
Well, you know, I mean, I know what the fans are thinking. You know, that the reason we don't have Jake Plummer is because he's not good in the pocket. He's not good on 3rd down, you know, passing in those situations. Now we get a 3rd down. Okay, let's see what this Jay Cutler kid can do. And you run the ball. Mike Shanahan maybe just wants to get everything settled down here a little.
Yeah. Ernster's kick fielded by Burleson. Nate from the 34 gets taken down up at the 39-yard line. So let's see if Hasselbeck can get anything going tonight. He's thrown for only 65 yards on 20 passes.
Like the ones that rugby players wear now.
Yeah. Wilson here. Seattle from the 39. Hasselbeck going to work. Throwing deep downfield. Connects with Jackson. And he takes it to the 34-yard line where he's tackled by Champ Bailey. So Hasselbeck, who was averaging less than 3.5 yards per pass before that one, connects for 27.
Yeah, and that's what they had to do. They had to get up on that next level. Everything was either short or it was those deep bombs. And here they just take that middle level, get in that middle of the zone, and that's the play that got them started. You know, that's their 6th first down. They've only had 6 first downs this game, the Seattle offense.
And only 159 yards of offense. 1st down and 10 at the 34-yard line. And Hasselbeck going for Jackson again. And Jackson is able to make the catch and get to the 1-yard line. He had to stop, wait for it, and makes the catch and is taken down just shy of the goal line. And then jaws with Lynch.
Right, and you know why he had to wait for it? Because Hasselbeck was making a pump fake to the left, and he made everything go to that left. Watch him here. Here's Jackson here. He's going to be the inside receiver. We see the pump fake to the left, and then he came back. Everyone kind of went to that left, and then see him come back, a good pump fake, and then set his feet again and come back and make an excellent throw.
33 yards. Alexander's the running back with a nose for the end zone, and he is in for the touchdown. Sean Alexander, who scored 28 touchdowns to set an NFL record last season, takes it in, and on 3 plays, 2 passes to Jackson and an Alexander run, they are an extra point away from taking the lead.
Yeah, but didn't you feel that they had to do that they had to make that play, that you know, make that medium one and then make that pump, and then Matt Hasselbeck looked like the very good NFL quarterback that he is. And then, of course, you get this, son.
Alexander takes it in. Brown for the extra point. 3 plays, 61 yards. Alexander into the end zone, and for the first time tonight, Seattle has the lead.
Minutes left. That's lots of time to get back, you know, when you're down by 1 point. The question is, can Jay Cutler keep his composure and do that?
Well, another test for the young lad. See how he gets on.
And they will have a look at it there, obviously, and we'll try to get more information to you as soon as we get it. But a neck injury, which they're calling for the moment, a sprained neck. Here's Brian Clark from the 14-yard line, and Brian Clark will run it back to the 35 and then lose the ball. And does Tafoya come up with the ball? He does at the 41-yard line. And it was Josh Brown, the kicker, on the tackle who forced the fumble.
Who would have thought most times there's not even a kicker around the pile. But just you're going to see Kelly Jennings come in here, the rookie cornerback. Although Josh Brown makes a pretty good hit on him.
Yeah.
That's it right there. There's Kelly Jennings there. He got his right hand on him, then he got his left hand on the ball, it looked like, and he knocked it out of there.
And Tafoya recovers it. And Seattle is right back in business at the 40-yard line. Denver has just turned the ball over for the 4th time tonight. At the 40. With a little bit more than 8 minutes to go, and the play clock ticking down to 1. And Alexander over the right side this time. And he gets taken down there for a gain of about 2.
You see Matt Hasselbeck on that play, Al, after he called an audible at the line of scrimmage, and then he got turned around and he was talking to Sean Alexander back there, and then he went up, and I think he started to line up behind his left guard. But that have been something. You go up there and you get under the left guard and call your cadence, and the center snaps it.
Well, remember Peyton Manning, I think, did that as a rookie.
I think every quarterback in their life has lined up behind a guard.
2nd down and 8. Good thing they don't use an unbalanced line. Alexander, and he gets stood up as he crosses the line of scrimmage by Gerard Warren.
Gerard Warren is the nose tackle, the guy that you usually double team, and that's where you want to press that run. You know, you kind of want to run it at your double team, but you better get the double teamed guy going backwards, and when you get Gerard Warren right there in the hole, there's no place for Alexander to go.
Big defensive stop necessary for Denver here. It's been a pretty miserable last few minutes with the injury to Wilson, the turnover. They gave up the lead. We still don't know if Elam can kick. You have a rookie quarterback who's going to have to lead you from behind. Or will it be a 1-point deficit, or a 4-point deficit, or an 8-point deficit?
Right, and Seattle has been terrible in 3rd down passing.
Draw Morris, and he gets taken down. So Warren comes up big. There's a flag down at the 36-yard line.
Holding defense. Number 97.
Ooh, and that's an automatic
penalty.
first down.
First down.
Demetrin Veal, gigantic penalty.
'97. Veal is a nose tackle, and you're going to see him. He's right here. You wonder what he could do to give him a first down. He's getting double teamed. He's going back. He's going back. He's going back. He got blocked so well he got knocked right out of the picture.
Where's the defensive holding?
I don't know. I mean, he's just fighting for his life. I think he just got blocked so good, and it was kind of embarrassing, and the official felt that you had to do something wrong somewhere.
Well, I'm still trying to find the holding on that play.
No, there was none.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything. He just got blocked about 5 yards deep. Got spun around.
From the 33, here's Alexander. And he's inside the 30 to the 28-yard line for a gain of 5. So right now they are in field goal range for Josh Brown.
And I think they just ought to stay with this. You know, they lost their fullback, and now they have Will Heller playing in there, and they just kind of zone block it. And watch Walter Jones here. He is so big and so strong and so balanced that when he hits his guy, the guy doesn't stop going backwards or sideways for 5 yards.
And he's only been doing it for 10 years.
The best in the league.
2nd down and 5 from the 28-yard line. Alexander over the right side to the 28. Next to no gain, maybe we'll call it a yard. 3rd and 4. Keith Burns taking the place of Al Wilson in on the stop.
And I'll tell you, this defensive line of the Broncos has really picked it up. I mean, they're controlling the line of scrimmage. They really stopped them on 3rd down, and then they had that phantom call on Veal. I still have no idea what anyone saw on that play.
3rd and 4. Big play. Morris is the running back. Morris to the outside. Can't get around the end, and Ebenezer Ekubon stops him 3 yards shy of a 1st down, and that's going to set up about a 44-yard field goal attempt for Brown.
You know, there has to be something wrong with Matt Hasselbeck. I mean, that's the 2nd time they got that 3rd and manageable, you know, and instead of passing the ball, they just ran it, and Ekubon does a great job there. I mean, he was on Walter Jones, and he played him, waited for the ball, and then just sprinted down the line. But I thought they were in 2 passing situations that they passed on, passed up on.
Coming off that last series where he threw those 2 passes to Jackson to set him up to get into the end zone. And Brown's kick is good, so he's 1 out of 3 tonight. And with 4:08 remaining in the 4th quarter, the Seattle lead is 4. Well, it's the Cutler era. 4:08 left, and his team is down 17-13. The 2 Mikes, 2 of the very best, 2 guys who know how to run an offense as well as anybody, certainly in contemporary football.
No matter what kind of list you have, these 2 guys are in the top group.
Brian Clark, who fumbled on his last run back, starts to stumble and slip and takes it back to the 29-yard line. So Jay Cutler making his first NFL start, taking his first snap. Those are his numbers, the touchdown pass and the interception, which was run back for a touchdown. Hasselbeck, it's not been a good night for Matt, but he was able to complete those 2 passes. The Broncos hurting themselves with 4 turnovers. Al Wilson injured. Jason Elam we don't know about. And now Cutler, the 11th pick overall in the draft, the rookie out of Vanderbilt, will have to lead them to a come-from-behind win to avoid a 3rd consecutive loss.
Right, and we're going to find out how much he's grown in 3.5 quarters.
Over the next 4 minutes. That's tipped. Intercepted. Picked off by Jordan Babineau and run back to the 15-yard line. It was tipped maybe by Grant Wistrom, the defensive end. And so Cutler on the very first play gets picked off, and the Denver Broncos have just turned it over for the 5th time in the game.
You know, and that's what the quarterback has to do. I mean, he has to, again, read the defense. He has to find the open guy, get the ball to him, but he also has to find a lane to throw it in. And you see that lane to throw it in was a little to his left, so he had to take like a half a step left to throw that. See, by staying there, Grant Wistrom, it was Grant Wistrom, is able to get his right hand up.
And so now the crowd in stunned silence. 2nd pick, 5th turnover. Ball at the 14. Under 4 minutes to play. Alexander over the left side for 3. Michael Myers the tackle. Let's go to Andrew.
Well, guys, hopefully a bit of good news on Al Wilson. The Broncos are telling us that he was moving everything as he was being taken off the field, obviously taken to the hospital for what they're calling precautionary tests.
All right, well, that's good. Again, the sprained neck was the initial indication. Meanwhile, Denver has just taken a timeout. Mike Shanahan has to conserve some time on this side of the 2-minute warning. It's been 6 years since the Broncos have turned the ball over this much at Mile High.
Well, you know, at some point, you have to admit it's hard to play quarterback in the NFL. You know, I mean, if a guy could come and never play a game and come in and just light it up and, you know, and be great, that would be one thing, but it just doesn't happen that way. I mean, the NFL is hard. It's hard to make it, it's hard to play, and the hardest position is quarterback.
And John, we've always said it, and it rings true again tonight, as Alexander takes the ball to the 8-yard line. The most popular guy in town when your team is having trouble is the other quarterback. And certainly in this case, and as Denver takes another timeout, Cutler was drafted with the express purpose of being the guy of the future. This town loved Jake Plummer last year until the AFC Championship game when he came up empty against Pittsburgh. And then he wasn't good enough this year to earn their love and admiration, and the other guy was. But you know what? It's not fantasy land.
No, and it wasn't all Jake's fault either. I mean, their offensive line didn't play well. They didn't have Tatum Bell. They didn't run well. I didn't think their receivers were getting open. They weren't getting any separation, and you know, and so I mean, you need someone to kind of blame, and Jake was that guy. But on the other hand, you know, Cutler is your quarterback. I mean, he's going to be the quarterback of your future, and you know, and I think Mike Shanahan felt that, you know, may as well start it right now.
3rd down and 4. This is a vital play because if they can hold to a field goal, it's a 1-possession game. Otherwise, it's something else. Deion Branch on the end around, and Deion Branch is going to be stopped just short of the 1st down. Ebenezer Ekubon makes sure of that. So now it's going to be 4th down and 1.
You know, don't you have to believe that there's something wrong with Matt Hasselbeck? I mean, that's the 3rd time. I mean, they ran their other 3rd downs, you know, like 3rd and 5 they ran, another 3rd and 5 they ran. Now they get 3rd down here and they run a reverse. You know, because I mean he's a top quarterback, and if he really was and was on his game, was feeling right, you would put the ball in his hands and tell him to throw the ball and get a 1st down. Especially after that one series, he comes out after the turnover, throws those 2 passes. They're going to settle for a chip shot field goal attempt by Josh Brown of 23 yards. And that one is good. So Denver is able to make the stop they had to make to keep the game a 1-possession game. 20-13 with 2:58 remaining. Denver will have 1 timeout plus the 2-minute warning. Right, and Jay Cutler's going to get another chance at it. I mean, the biggest help that he could get here is a good kickoff return and get some good field position where they can, you know, where Mike Shanahan can give him a good mix of run and pass, and maybe even a little play action pass, although I would eliminate the bootleg.
Last time we saw the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, it was the beginning of the Tony Romo era. And that's been a pretty good little era right now, a month and a half worth anyway. 5 wins, 6 games. They beat the Giants today. The Saints go to Dallas to take on the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football next week right here on NBC.
Cowboys always exciting, huh? There's always something going on down there.
Especially now.
Yeah, but Tony Romo has stopped a lot of the other talk, and then Martin Gramatica comes in today and wins for
crazy. Romo's leading the league in passer rating right now.
No, he's amazing. I mean, I watch him, and some of the things that he does, he looks like a 10-year veteran.
Josh Brown fielded at the 6 by Cecil Sapp. And he takes it to the 28-yard line. John, the night can't go by. I have to get your summation of the new officials' garb. They're wearing these long pants, the long black pants, cold weather gear. What's your take?
I don't know. I mean, it looks like they have everything now, though, and they say that they can wear layers now. That they, oops, Big Cutler didn't see that line judge. And I don't know. I mean, I guess it's okay.
Cecil Sapp is down on the ground. work on him.
You know, the best game, the best officiated game is a game that you don't notice the officials.
But you know, today I think they wore these uniforms in the San Diego Buffalo game.
Right.
To me, they look like a bunch of guys getting ready for the luge, which reminds me the Winter Olympics on NBC in 2010. Dick Ebersol, take note, first promo for Vancouver.
To me, they look like some guys going bowling.
But on a night when it got down to 14, happy to report it's now up to 21. Cecil Sapp needs some assistance in getting over to the sideline. Here's Ian Gold. But for the Denver Broncos, who go to San Diego next week, they are at a critical juncture here, having lost 2 straight, in jeopardy of falling to 7-5 in the very, very tough AFC West and the very tough AFC overall. Down by a touchdown. Need to go 71 yards. 1 timeout plus the 2-minute warning. Against a base defense put out there by Seattle. And first down, the catch is made by Brandon Marshall. And Marshall still on his feet. Marshall is inside the 30, inside the 20. How do you like that? The rookie from the University of Central Florida, Brandon Marshall, breaking tackles left and right, 71 yards, touchdown.
Boy, that brought this crowd back in it, didn't it? A rookie to a rookie. Brandon Marshall, a big guy, 6'4", big target out there. They put him on the outside. And I'll tell you, Jay Cutler put it right on him. He needed to play, he needed to throw, and he dug down and got it.
Wow. Now Jason Elam, who pulled that left hamstring, comes in for the extra point. And boots it through, and it will hop away. But the game is tied.
Yeah, I think that was bad Seattle defense, too. I mean, you talk about, a prevent defense. You talk about playing soft. They had 6 defensive backs in there. But watch how soft they are. I mean, they all come back. They let him catch the ball, and then they're going to start to miss tackles. Miss tackle right there, miss tackle right there, miss tackle right there. And part of it was a good throw, part good run. Part of it was very, very poor defense and missed tackles.
And bad tackling has been the story with a lot of teams this year, and Seattle is definitely one of them.
You have to make that. I mean, this is, we're talking about quarterbacks and, guys making plays and Jay Cutler making plays, but defense has to make plays too, and that's tackling. Look at his dad there. Now that's a dad. He said, finally I do it. His mom and dad came to visit him on Thanksgiving. For Thanksgiving, then they found out he was going to start, and they haven't gone home. The family's still here.
They might move here.
Well, I think they did, because Jay Cutler has a house here and an apartment downtown. He lets the family live in the house, and he's staying in the apartment downtown.
They'll be around a while.
Just a minute ago, I was saying how hard it is to play in the NFL, and I believe that. I mean, it is hard. And he's playing the toughest position in this league.
Ernster kicking off, taken at the goal line. Burleson. Flag is thrown, and that's going to back him up even more. He's out of bounds at the 24-yard line, and now we'll see about Hasselbeck and whether he can regain the lead for the Seattle Seahawks. 2:31 remaining. They have all of their timeouts.
Holding, receiving team, number 57, 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Kevin Bentley. Before that touchdown pass to Brandon Marshall, who makes his first catch of the night, Cutler had thrown for 72 yards total. That play, 71.
Yeah, and that was the type of play that Mike Shanahan wanted him to make. That play from the pocket to your outside receiver. He did it with Brandon Marshall. Got so excited he has his cap on sideways.
I'll tell you what, who's also hurt? Thunder the horse. The rider had to get off.
Thunder's out?
There, I'm looking at him going back into the locker room. The rider had to dismount.
Thunder's down. We're going to find out how good Hasselbeck is right here.
We are. He swings it to the outside. It is caught there by Jeremy Stevens. Champ Bailey made the tackle.
You know, again, they got that short passing, and it works okay like this on first down. I think where they've really gotten away from that mid-range, that 10 to 15-yard passing. I mean, they've taken some shots, and they've had the short passing game, but I only remember one medium-range pass.
This will take us to the 2-minute warning. Seattle with all of its timeouts. Marshall turning about a 12-yard gain into a 71-yard touchdown. 20-20.
At any minute, but I think they're going to play very, very carefully right here.
Looks like about a third of the crowd left.
But they're on their way back.
Yeah.
Hasselbeck has that one tipped and incomplete. 3rd down and 4.
Hasselbeck, that happened to him last week. Remember the first pass that he throws hits a defensive lineman right in the face mask. And again, you know, we talked about that with Jay Cutler, that's, you know, the quarterback has to not only find the open guy, but he has to find the lane to throw in.
Now you got a big play for both teams, obviously, here, because if they can force a punt, Denver should get the ball in relatively decent field position. 3rd down and 4. Hasselbeck, a ton of time, throws, completes it up to the 36-yard line to Nate Burleson. Big, big first down.
And that was the first 3rd down in about 4 or 5 that they came back and threw the ball. I mean, the last few times they've been running it. The last time they had the 3rd down, they ran a reverse play, and here they did an NFL pro play. Great pass protection. That allows, you know, you see Matt Hasselbeck having time to step up, but also to find that lane to throw in.
16-yard gain. Alexander over right guard up to the 41-yard line he goes.
They take a timeout, Seattle.
Check in with Andrea.
Well, keep in mind, if this game does come down to a Denver field goal attempt, after Jason Elam kicked the extra point, he was on the table behind the bench. They were massaging his left hamstring. He had his head in his hands, and after they were done, he got up and he limped away.
You know, it sort of reminds me of, what was it, David Akers in Philadelphia a few years ago? You could tell, just in unbelievable agony, and kicked, as I recall, I think it was a game-winning field goal for the Eagles. And now you've got Elam. They were working on him. Ernster, the punter, was also a place kicker in college at Northern Arizona. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The guy who may have to win the game is Josh Brown, who's kicked 3 game-winning field goals for Seattle.
And the Seattle Seahawks, and the worry for the Broncos right now is their defense and stopping the Seahawks.
2nd down and 5. To the outside, the pass is caught by Deion Branch. He stays in bounds. The clock continues to run. Hasselbeck says get up to the line of scrimmage. Ticking down to a minute to go. 2 timeouts for Holmgren's team. Under a minute, 1st and 10 at the 49. Hasselbeck to Hackett. He's inside the 40. He's to the 38-yard line.
And Hasselbeck needs about one more of those. And the big thing, he's getting great pass protection right now. And I think this Denver defense is starting to wear down a little, aren't they? And that's been a problem for him. You know, whether it's conditioning or whatever, that defensive line tends to wear down in the 4th quarter. And when you need the big rush, you need it right now. They have a 4-man rush here, but look at the protection. Look at that pocket. I mean, it's a perfect pocket. I mean, he could look left, came all the way back right, and again, that was all because of the time that his offensive line gave him.
If they don't gain another yard, it would be a 55 or 56-yard attempt for Brown, something he's capable of. Again, he's won 3 games at the end this season. And I mean, that shows you what the NFL is. And I know there are a million things that go into an outcome of a game. But if he doesn't kick them, there's a chance they're 4-7 instead of 7-4.
Right. I mean, you know, the kicker during the week isn't very important to you. Everyone makes fun of him. You joke about him. Then you get to the point in the game where you need him, and everyone loves him.
Yeah. At the 38. Alexander to the 35-yard line. Gain of 3. Clock ticking down.
You know, I think right now would be a good time for the Broncos to blitz. And, you know, and this down and maybe next down, because they have to get some pressure on Hasselbeck.
And meanwhile, the ball was snapped. The whistle had sounded, and you're going to get the initial indication I thought was a false start. Scott Green is the referee. You got
false start.
Yeah, false start. Yeah.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
I'll tell you, that has been big against this Seattle team tonight. What did they have? Four procedure calls against them?
Well, those three of them early, the 3 early false starts. They have 1 timeout left. You have a 2nd and 12. You have 22 seconds. You're looking right now after that penalty at about a 58-yard attempt.
Yeah, I would be thinking now in terms of getting, you know, about a 10-yard play.
However, the team can use their final timeout. Seattle has chosen to take their 3rd and final timeout.
They had to take a timeout because there was an injured Seahawk, which would have required a 10-second runoff here. But to avoid the 10-second runoff, you can't take your timeout. And that's their final timeout.
Yeah, again, and I think that's what Mike Holmgren is talking to Matt Hasselbeck right now is to get a play, and I don't think you take a shot. I mean, you're not talking about going to the end zone. You're taking a shot, you know, get the ball inside the 30-yard line.
Now, I misspoke there when I said an injury. It's a false start. Requires a 10-second runoff unless you want to take a timeout to avoid that, which they did, which cost them their final timeout.
Yeah, here they can throw it anywhere in the field because they have enough time. They throw it, complete it, get up, kill the clock, and then kick it.
2nd down and 12, the ball at the 40-yard line. Alexander to about the 33. Now you're looking at about a 50 to 51-yard field goal. And Hasselbeck, that's the only way you can stop the clock.
Yeah, I would have gone on that play. I would have gone pass and then get up and kill it and then kick it. They did the same thing.
In pregame, here was Josh Brown, the other end, whose range is over 50. That was a 58-yarder.
Which doesn't mean anything because there was nothing on it.
Nothing.
There was no rush. There was no snap. There was no hold. There was anything. Now this is about, it's about a snap. It's about a hold. It's about a kick. And it's about a rush.
And it's about a win or probable overtime. 50 yards. Blackemeyer puts it down. And Josh Brown has done it again. Four game-winning field goals. If this holds, there are still 5 seconds remaining.
I don't know if you can listen to quiet, but you can listen to this quiet.
This is what quiet sounds like.
That was a perfect kick with him. There was no doubt about that. Good snap, good hold, got plenty of leg into it. That whole thing was perfect.
3 field goals on the last 3 possessions for the Seattle Seahawks.
And the Seahawks haven't been a good road team, and you know, we've looked at how they've done here in Denver. They haven't done well, and they really didn't play well tonight. But I mean, usually they're good offensive. When they slip, maybe it's a little defensively. They really didn't play well offensively tonight, but they hung in there, didn't they?
They certainly did, and they came from behind. And then Denver was able to tie the game on the bad tackling by their defense. Marshall takes it 71 yards. And Brown, who beat Detroit and then St. Louis twice with either game-ending or final-minute field goals. Will do it again unless the Denver Broncos can somehow pull off a miracle run back here. And this is one of those plays that might see a few laterals. Williams looking for somebody to throw it back to. Goes back to the fullback, Kyle Johnson. He just throws it up in the air, but you got to make sure you throw it behind you. You can't throw it forward, and the flag indicates that it was a forward pass, and that will end the game. And so Mike Holmgren's team comes into Denver.
Illegal forward pass is declined. Game is over.
Which has been a house of horrors for them. As we said, 4-20 was their record here when they were both members of the AFC West. A sigh of relief let out by Holmgren. Josh Brown